Find a problem to solve that people are actually willing to pay for. You can have a great idea, but if there's no demand in the market or you're not solving a problem, you are a solution in search of a problem and will probably not ever have a successful business.
If I could go back in my lifetime and say, what's a big mistake? I wish I figured this out earlier.
Ask questions, ask why.
It takes a special leader to help you grow in a certain role.
Doesn't matter how I speak, doesn't matter how I look.
And it holds true as you think big and don't let anybody stop you.
Now that's a success story. Good morning, everybody. Thank you and welcome to this edition of Success Stories. Today on our episode, we have Barb Ewing, the CEO of YBI, Youngstown Business Incubator. Barb, thanks for being on today.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure, truly.
All right. Well, I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you guys have a lot of things going on up there, running around. You guys always have multiple things going different directions. But to get started, kind of just throw it out there. Where and how did your success story begin? When you think of the beginning of that your career or your journey that led you to this point of a success story.
So I know that there are lots of people out there who have a plan and, they've got vision boards and they are working that plan and, really seem to have a method to their madness, whereas mine is truly just pure madness. And I did have a vision. I mean, I do remember a particular point in time when I thought I was driving down Belmont Avenue, not Belmont, I'm sorry. Beside Commercial Intertech, and realized that it was late in the evening and there were still lights on, and thinking, I someday want to be important enough that I need to work late and that it matters that I'm staying at my job. I want that type of a job. And now I realize I have spoken that way too much into existence, and I spend way too many evenings working. But I don't want to say it's just been pure good fortune, but I have landed in good places, and I've had the blessing of having great bosses who, whether they intentionally or unintentionally, mentored me. I was able to learn from them, sometimes from the good, sometimes from the bad, methodically, but I did learn how to strategize and to think through the long-term implementation of a project, or how to get from point A to point B. And then I also learned from some of them the kind of boss I didn't want to be. And always found ways to find jobs that were an advancement from the last one that I had. But every job I had, no matter how bad it was, no matter how minimal the pay, no matter how the drudgery is not the right word, but the grind of it.
The grind, yeah.
I always felt like I gave it 100% no matter what, and always set very high expectations for myself, knew that I had to meet other people's expectations, because I was often a young woman in a man's world. And if I failed even one time to meet whatever those expectations were, that it would be, it would have an impact. And
right. Spotlight.
Yeah, it would leave a mark. So I was very, very careful about that. But I certainly have invested in my career. Like, I have stayed at places. I've never been in a job for under 7 or 8 years. Never.
Really?
Yeah, it's I usually joke that my marriages and my jobs last about the same time. But
yeah, right. I'm with you.
But I really outstayed my welcome here at YBI. I've been here for about 14 years, so let's knock on wood.
So when growing up or going to college, where you're at now, I mean, I don't know too many people that think I want to be the CEO of an incubator, right? Or I want to work for how'd you get there?
So again, good fortune. But when I was going to college, I loved history and literature. And I got my major in American Studies from Kent State, a very good liberal arts education, really taught me to read and integrate and think and analyze, but not a true practical application there. It's not
Right.
easy to walk into an employer and say, well, these are my skills. And so I picked up a minor in education and spent a year substitute teaching, and I loved it. I did really love it.
Really?
I loved the kids. But by the end of the year, I had lost my sense of humor, and things just were nearly as funny as they were at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I bet.
So I just thought, okay, it's the summer. I've got the summer off because I was only substituting and I wasn't deeply invested anywhere. And it didn't look like there'd be any jobs on the horizon soon. So I decided that I would at least go see what I could find, just see if I would have an opportunity. And a job turned up at the Better Business Bureau with Jim Kostler, who was my boss not once, but twice. I always
Really?
say,
I didn't know that.
yes, foolish enough to hire me twice. Like, what the hell? Like,
Yeah, right? What's he thinking?
no idea. If he didn't learn this lesson the first time, there's no helping him. So, it, but it was a great job for me. It was certainly an entry level position,
Hmm.
but I loved it. I loved every minute of it, and I knew the first day that I was there that I was never leaving the nonprofit world. I just felt like it
Really?
was so perfect to be integrated into the business community and to be aware of the things that were happening, and I felt very connected instantly. And it it was the perfect niche for me. I mean, nonprofit is not for everybody.
Yeah,
It's a lot of hard work, often for not a lot of pay. But
for sure.
I loved it, and I thank him every day that he took a chance on me, because really there was nothing distinguishing me from anybody else except my willingness to accept the pay that he was able to provide at that time.
Wow. I had no idea that's where your start came from. Where kind of after the Better Business Bureau, how many stops, or did you have multiple stops? And you were in a political role for a while, right?
I was. So he took a job over at the Youngstown Warren Regional Chamber, and when he was leaving, my job was leaving with him. Like the
Oh,
membership services that he provided so very well at the Better Business Bureau was a big part of my job. Not the only portion of my job, but it was a big part of it. And they had the funding to create a position over there as well. So I moved to the chamber with him. It was a better move for me than it was for him. It just was a good fit for me. Um, so I started off in membership services and had probably 2 or 3 years working to build the program that we had offered at the Better Business Bureau, providing business support, advisory support to the membership. We started providing that at the chamber, and that continued for a while, but then a government affairs position opened up. I tell everybody, and there are never truer words. John Moliterno did the biggest favor of my life by rolling the dice and saying he would give me a chance to be the director of government affairs when the
wow.
vice president of government affairs left. Because you talk about falling in love with a job. I did absolutely fall in love with that position.
That was the one, huh?
That was the one. And I became vice president eventually. We really built the program around the strengths of the Valley. So at that point, we had a very democratic state and congressional delegation. So
Uh-huh.
we didn't try to tackle the world and, talk about the business related topics very often. I mean, we did a little bit of that. Our focus was on economic development and especially trying to get funding for Valley projects. I worked on the King Graves Road interchange, the 7-Eleven connector, the one of the first efforts to try to get funding for economic development for the airport. It was a property tax. Still have a few scars from that one. Just a lot of good public policy work, lots of great relationships with people that I loved. Found a real value for my all the civics homework that I did in high school. Finally understood the difference between your state and federal governments. And it was fantastic. I stayed at the chamber until Tim Ryan won his seat in Congress. And there's even a bit of a story there. Tom Humphreys at the time, my boss,
Oh, yeah.
was one of Tim's first supporters, and he had asked me he'd convinced him that he needed to hire somebody that had economic development experience, and he had asked me if I would consider taking the job with Tim if he won, and I was sure he was not winning. Let me say that
Yeah.
every bookie in Vegas knew that he was not winning. And so on election night when he won, I cried. I mean, cried and cried and cried because I loved the chamber and I loved my coworkers and I did not want to leave. But it obviously it was a great step for me.
Yeah.
Loved working with him and his staff. Stayed there for about 7 years. But when it was time to leave, it was time to leave. Just the world had changed. The biggest portion of my job was to work to secure earmarks for the community. With the change in Congress, they did away with the earmarks when the Republicans took control in, I think that was 2010. And I could have reinvented myself there, but it was just time to move on. And the job at YBI had opened, and it was, a chance to go from one family setting to another family setting.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Perfect
uh,
timing, it sounds like, to
yeah,
come back. Yeah.
it wasn't easy for me to leave the congressional office. I still miss it. I miss being
Really?
involved at that level, but um, obviously I love it here. And if I've ever had a work family, and I've always had a work family, I'll say it that way. I've always had a work family, but we are a tight knit group, and this has it's just been uh, such a blessing to be able to go from one place to the next where I have loved it so much and have landed in what is truly my happy spot.
Yeah. Yeah. Seems like every time along the way you kind of you jump to a new position, better position, or help make you more rounded for where you're at now, right?
Yeah,
You need to go through that journey.
yeah, I think that there's been a very natural progression. There hasn't been anything that felt like a sidestep or a step backwards. I mean, there have been great opportunities to learn and always somebody to learn something from. Um, I have had the benefit of working for really great leaders.
Yeah.
And the benefit of working for really great leaders is that you learn leadership from them. And whether you mean to or not, you do. That saying, you can't not communicate. I have had lots of people communicating lots of important messages to me. And yeah, it's always been an opportunity to grow and to expand my horizons and to do something different, challenge myself, while always bettering the community.
Yeah. Let's talk about that leadership and kind of learning that along the way is how, you talked about Jim Costler and not Humphreys, but Moliterno. How did they, do you think they had a strategy for helping you, or do you think they identified your blind spots or your weak spots and like
Yeah.
tried developing that for you, or did you even know that was happening along the way? Because I'm sure most leaders and mentors, I feel like, define that and see that, and they're like, uh, they might not communicate it as a plan to bring you forward or to help us out, but I feel like oftentimes they do
Yeah.
without the communication.
In some cases, absolutely, yes. I mean, I would say when I worked for Reed Dahlberger, who was vice president of economic development for the chamber, he was, I would say, the most intentional about it. Like,
Really?
yes, and he was the person who taught me strategy. Um, he would say if I had an idea that I wanted to do, and I would bring it to him, and and it was typically not fully fleshed out, he would send it back and say, go back to the drawing board. You've got something, but it's not mature. And if I needed help getting it to another point, he was certainly more than willing to invest time and effort in helping me see those opportunities. Um, the and to the point where there was also something that I wanted to do that I could just never get it to that point, and we folded it up and said not now because it
Yeah.
just was it he wasn't afraid to tell me no. Like if I couldn't get something to a point of a sound executable strategy, then we weren't going to do it. So
Right.
I would say he was the most intentional in terms of that learning. But I would I don't think I've ever worked for anybody who didn't have some investment in making their employees better.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't. I would never disparage them because I would consider that to be very disparaging to say that,
Yeah.
they just weren't invested in their people.
Now, what type of leader are you? Do you try to be intentional with people that you work with, or are you more of the puppet master and try to, help them find their own way?
Um, I believe I govern through benign neglect best, but
Yeah, but I neglect.
Jim taught me in a very, very important lesson of leadership by example. And the one thing my staff would tell you is that I am a servant leader, that they are, I never ask anybody to do something that I am not willing to do. And I do really try to instill in them the importance of looking around them to see that what needs to be done and to always be working to make their programs better or the campus better or whatever the case may be. We have instituted something that I'm really excited about. It is, we all say the same thing. It is the best part of any month. It's the best day of the month. Once a month. It's not mandatory. If somebody doesn't want to do it, they are free to not. They can join the sessions and never lead one. But we have what's called YBI Book Club, and once a month somebody takes a topic, takes a book, or just a topic. So I'll come back to that. Read the book and then give a presentation to those people who are interested in evolving and taking the next step in their leadership journey. We all love book club. Book club is
Yeah.
what happens in book club stays in book club. It's really taken on a life of its own. I would say that is the most intentional thing that I do in terms of trying to nurture or mentor our employees. It's not because I don't want to, uh, or that it's not because I don't think about it. It's just, I feel like I'm still learning and
Mm.
it may seem disingenuous, but like, what the hell do I have to teach anybody? I don't know. I'm still
So,
figuring it out every day. Every
yeah.
day I'm still figuring it out. So, this year I have tried to be more intentional about it.
Yeah.
That is one of my personal goals for the year is to try to do a better job of making sure that my employees feel invested and feel like they've got opportunities to gain from the knowledge that I have or the
Yeah.
experience that I have.
To help them grow. Yeah. And sometimes it's not even you passing along your own knowledge. It's just giving them the exposure to the knowledge that they may need, right?
Right.
That
Yeah.
might not be in your exact wheelhouse. Same thing we do here is like everything I try to guide people through is not everything that I know. Usually I try guiding people to my gaps to help us as an organization grow. So that we're wider and better wholly as an organization. But that's interesting. I love the book club idea.
Oh,
Uh,
book club is great. It is the best day of the month, always.
I bet.
So
I bet.
we
I
do,
bet.
and again, it doesn't always have to be a book. One of our YSU students did Ted Lasso, the leadership lessons of Ted Lasso.
That's awesome.
So we've got it's evolved from truly just a leadership program to being a little bit more than that, and
Yeah. It's probably a
uh,
good culture thing too, right?
it's great. Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about the YBI. Um, in 30 seconds or less, what's the YBI? No, you probably
in
need
30
a
seconds or
quick.
less, yeah. Mhm.
We got a while, but let us know. Give people the background on the incubator, what you guys do as an organization, but and then kind of we'll roll into kind of what your day to day and your role there is.
Okay. So, well, YBI is an economic development organization. We have a really diverse set of programs, but there are two core themes, technology and entrepreneurship. And at some points they align and at some points they diverge a little bit, but they are our core programming. We started as a software incubator back around 1998. And, well, actually, we started as a general purpose incubator, and that's important. Come back to that. We started as a general purpose incubator. In 2001, the state said we had to become some type of technology incubator if we wanted
Hmm.
to continue to receive funding for our entrepreneurship program. And we are very practical. We did want to continue to receive the funding. So Jim started developing programs to support software companies, graduated Turning Technologies, which is obviously our largest graduate. It's the one we're known for, but it's not the only graduate that we've ever had. They're just the one with name recognition, and did just software for a decade. But our board recognized that while we were having a great impact in that small space, there was a lot of need within the larger manufacturing community to support their technology needs, and started working with YSU at the time to find programs that were relevant to the manufacturing community.
Yeah.
Had a lot of activity, some small wins, some small failures, but it ultimately culminated in us being a part of that successful application that was led by NCDMM, the National Center for Defense Manufacturing and Machining, America Makes parent organization. And when we won the flagship institute for the National Network for Manufacturing Innovation, it really did redefine us. Immediately started developing programs to support entrepreneurs in advanced manufacturing, started to develop the facility. Meaningfully also started hiring engineers to support the adoption of advanced manufacturing technology by our local industry partners. That program has grown and grown and grown. We're currently invoicing about $250,000 a month and government and local contracts to
Wow.
support. Yeah, it's a great program. And it allows us to support our advanced manufacturing clients in a very different way, our startups in a very different way, because we can partner them with our existing engineering cohort. We were recently designated as a center of excellence for advanced manufacturing, the lead as the center of excellence for an advanced manufacturing network across all of Northern Ohio. We will continue to support software and healthcare startups, but only in our immediate region. Outside of the region, we're only doing advanced manufacturing. And then simultaneously, in 2017, we were contacted by the state, the Minority Business Assistance Center for the Eastern Corridor of Ohio. There was a gap in the leadership. Nobody had submitted an RFP or a proposal to run the Minority Business Assistance Center program. We were thrilled to be asked to apply. I say it with love in my heart. We were so excited. And we worked so hard to get the very best application in that we possibly could. Like, we dedicated ourselves in a 2-week turnaround to make sure that we were going to win that award. And then we subsequently found out that we were the only one who had applied. So so there you have it. But it was time well spent because it really allowed us to fully understand where we had strengths and where we had gaps. And while it took a lot of learning, working with small traditional businesses, minority or otherwise, is very, very different than working with technology startups. And it took us a long time to figure that out. But now our team is one of the best in the state. We consistently hit metrics that mirror the centers in Cleveland, Columbus, and Cincinnati, doing great work. I'm on the chamber board, and Guy Coviella just mentioned at the chamber board meeting that we have, in recent years, we have doubled the number of minority business assistant. I'm sorry, of businesses that are certified as minority-owned businesses, because we had very few when we started this journey.
That's
And the
awesome.
number has doubled. And I sat silently. I did sit quietly because there was a whole meeting going on around, but I wanted to be like, that's us. We
Yeah, right over here.
team. It's us right here. So we've
That's a
got
great
a great
accomplishment.
team, a great
Yeah.
team. And the state has further changed the program. We're now partnered with Valley Partners. They're the tier one provider. So they work with the ideation level companies, the early stage companies. We work with more mature companies, not necessarily just minority owned, minority women and veteran owned businesses, but any disadvantaged businesses. In the Mahoning Valley, that's almost everybody.
Yeah.
And we do everything from just business counseling to certification and assistance with lending. So, a great team and doing great work in the community.
So what's of all those programs now? I know you came up through the ranks and you have different roles there through your career, but now as CEO, kind of what's your day to day look like, if there is any consistency?
There is really no consistency. Our largest fundraiser, I'll get my plug in here, Shark Tank, YBI
Hmm.
Shark Tank, sorry. I need to say YBI Shark Tank as to not confuse the whole world that we might be the other Shark Tank.
Yeah.
But ours is the one Shark Tank. It's coming up. I believe the date this year is October 23rd. It's at Mr. Anthony's. And it is an opportunity it's a mission-driven fundraiser where are able to expose our community to the work that we do and to entrepreneurship and the startups that are in the community. We have funding from Medical Mutual that allows us to give out a prize package to the um, uh, the the best pitch or the it depends on how the sharks define it. We allow the sharks to define our local
Really?
sharks, yeah, community leaders. They get to decide what they think is the right selection for the year, and that can be based upon what they feel the need is, or who they think will have the greatest impact. Every year they define it differently. We are never right about who's winning the prize. Let me tell you,
Really?
not are we ever right about who's winning the prize. This year we have a slightly different spin. We gave away $50,000 last year, but to a single client, Little Tusk, who's doing great things. We're happy for them, but $50,000 is a lot of money to go to one client. So this year, everybody who makes it to the stage, the four final contestants, gets at least $5,000. There's a $10,000 prize package that the Sharks will give away for from the sponsorship by Medical Mutual, and then we also have an audience participation vote that gives away an additional 5,000. So, all told, a lot of money on the table,
Yeah.
45,000, but it will be spread differently than it was last year.
Gotcha.
And I spend a lot of time doing Shark Tank. It's actually two events. We do a launch party in the spring, and we start planning the next year as soon as the last year is over. In between, I do everything from working on government affairs. There's always something that we need to raise the awareness about of our community, our elected officials, so that they are in a position to advocate effectively for us in
Hmm.
Columbus and Washington. I actually do a fair amount of proposal writing. I hope to change that this year, but it's hard to it's difficult to find the right fit for proposal writing. You're not
Yeah.
always writing a proposal, and it's kind of a unique skill. So it's something that we're looking at. But I do a fair amount of that. A lot of engagement. I am very hands-on um, as I can be with our advanced manufacturing clients, especially, but also with any other clients that I can help with. I've been around a long time. I know people. So if somebody needs an introduction to a manufacturer or to one of our hospital systems, I am that connector. And also spend a lot of time deliberately doing outreach, trying to build those networks, trying to establish new relationships, um, just to make sure that if there's ever a need, I'm in a position to help fill that need. Um, so as I said earlier, I do whatever
A
needs to be
lot.
done on any given day. If we had a summer social last week, and then I walked across the parking lot, I realized that it needed some attention, and I didn't ask anybody else to go do that. I was in a position to do it, and um, so I cleaned the parking lot so that we could have our summer social out there. But It's there are no 2 days here that are the same.
Yeah, yeah. So what's on the horizon for incubators across the nation as a whole? I know you guys kind of have a niche that you kind of niche down a little bit, but and maybe for YBI as well.
Well, I'll start with our innovation hub for defense and aerospace that America Makes is the lead on, but certainly that is going to consume a whole lot of time and energy for both our entrepreneurship team, our technology entrepreneurship team, as well as our advanced manufacturing services team. We truly have I know people are probably rolling their eyes and saying, yeah, you're going to build the defense and aerospace industry here. But we already have 70, 80 companies in the valley that touch aerospace, hundreds that are either in or can be in the defense supply chain. We did a project a few years ago for the Army where we were able to ingrain 270 regional manufacturers, I'll say, not local, in the Army supply chain just for additive manufacturing. I mean, touching
Wow.
some level, whether it was at the design or the post-processing. So there is a lot of capacity here, and the Department of Defense is spending generational kind of money. We may, you know, it's worth taking a moment to understand what the big beautiful bill means, and what it means is a lot more money flowing to the Department of Defense to meet those needs.
Yeah.
Chandler Fiffick, the senior director of our Evolve Technology program, and I went to a conference in Detroit 2 weeks ago called Reindustrialize. And it was more than a little terrifying. The amount of money that China has invested in their their military and in their manufacturing capability. And I'm sure there are good stories that we're not told because the goal of the conference was to spur everybody into action. But for example, China built 200 Navy ships last year, and we built five. So
Wow.
this idea of rebuilding the U.S. military supply chain is truly critical.
Yeah.
And if I were to want to drive one message um, for the local manufacturing community anyway, it is that you need to get into the game. It is, again, generational kind of money will be spent the same way that World War II built the U.S. industrial base. It will be rebuilding the U.S. industrial base now, and it is a great opportunity to strengthen your book of business and build your supply chains and just transform your business into something that is probably more sustainable and profitable than well, traditional manufacturing
Yeah.
setting.
Private. Yeah.
Yeah. New opportunities for technology development and commercialization, especially within manufacturing. We are seeing a lot of interest from companies from outside the area, both startups and some more mature companies, to come to the area to be a part of the hub and to take advantage of the funding that will be spent. Foreign countries understand that if they are going to be a part of, if they're coming to the party, they have to really come to the party with a casserole. They've got to invest here, and so there's clearly an uptick of interest in companies from uh, outside the U.S. to build a base of a meaningful base in the U.S. And we're able to build upon the relationships we have to take part in that. So that's the technology side on our, and my gosh, I've forgotten something, and I'll have to buy Megan dinner because we also have, and we've got a youth program that is
Yeah.
fantastic. It also aligns with technology. She has built that program from the ground up. It started off as an entrepreneurship program, but we have evolved it to a STEM career exploration program using augmented reality. In the first half of the year, she touched 1,800 students, giving them exposure to,
Whoa.
yeah, different opportunities. We started off using videos that you could get offline of like tours of Google and Adidas and places like that. But we didn't want to give the impression that you had to leave the Mahoning Valley to go to get a good technology-based job. So we've started doing 360 videos with local partners, like we did Odium Cells and doing one at Hometown Products. I forget all of the other partners, but certainly we'll be doing more of that. It's a great way for us to engage with our young people and to help get them excited about the opportunities that are here. We can do all the economic development that we want, but if we aren't keeping our young people, if we're bleeding them out of the community
Yes.
because they don't feel like they have an opportunity, then we are doing ourselves a disservice. We owe it to the Mahoning Valley to get everybody at all level as excited about the work that we do as we are. And then last but not least, our Minority Business Assistance Center is doing great work. They will continue to do great work, find new partnerships. We're going to do we're doing a procurement event in the fall, September 11th, I want to say, me and dates. And then in the spring, in the winter, just after the first of the year, we intend to do our very first I'll call it a marquee event, the work of our Minority Business Assistance Center, trying to raise the visibility of that
Yeah.
program the same way that our Shark Tank does. Shark Tank is both traditional and technology-based businesses, but certainly our technology startups get a lot of visibility out of that. And we did our first advanced manufacturing program this year, AMUX, Advanced Manufacturers Users Group. So this will just continue to build out our efforts to raise awareness of the work that we do through events and programming, because it gives you a different understanding of the work that we do than just seeing an ad or hearing a news story. We want people to
sure.
come out and experience it.
Yeah, and hear people's individual stories that that you've
Mhm.
helped. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's so important. That's
yeah.
where it starts to stick.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So, just a couple things going on at the YBI that you guys have
Couple
going on.
things going on at the YBI.
Yeah.
A couple of things going on at the YBI. Well, with the innovation and the Ohio Innovation Hub for Aerospace and Defense, we will start to renovate what will be our sixth building, the second Vindicator building. The first Vindicator building is fully renovated, almost fully occupied. We have two clients in that building that have really outgrown it and are currently in Boardman at a space that Juggerbot owns. They're one of the two companies that need the larger space. So we are busy trying to secure all the funding that we need and get through all the paperwork process to begin the first phase of a multi-phase renovation project on the second Vindicator building. That will take us to probably about 250,000 square feet of leasable space. It's a lot.
It
What
sounds
doesn't
overwhelming.
Yeah. What doesn't kill us makes us stronger, so it'll all be okay. And we're just now completing a renovation to YBI Main. We have spent so much time growing our campus. We did not invest the way we should have in keeping YBI main facility, the heart of our programming, our campus, and the building that everybody thinks about when they think about YBI. Um, that is, we are well through the renovations. It is fantastic. I have to tell you that anybody who has ever been down here will be shocked at the transformation and what knocking some holes in the wall and allowing some light to come into a building can do to completely change the feel of a building.
That's
The
exciting.
upstairs are getting refreshed, new fresh paint, fresh light, fresh flooring, lighting, the whole 9 yards, and slowly trying to also do the individual spaces of the clients who are upstairs. Um, uh, Looking around one day, I realized how shameful it had become, and so we are very grateful to everybody who allowed that to happen. A lot of work went into getting the resources we needed to get that done.
It's amazing
Um,
everything you guys have going on. It's just, to me, it's always overwhelming. I get overwhelmed every time I talk to you and we discuss things that you guys have going on because it just makes my head spin. I don't know how you
well,
do it, but
And
I'm
well,
happy you do it.
we are also currently in the process of taking over the operations of the Bright Energy Innovation Center
I did see that.
in Trumbull County and Warren. We're not taking over the energy incubation part of it. The Right now it's a facilities play. Um, just trying to help. There are some renovations that need to be done to give them more space so that they can better utilize that space, and then working to identify some tenants, either traditional businesses or technology businesses that can go into that space. As part of our technology entrepreneurship program, the Evolve Technology Entrepreneurship Program, we are now the ambassador for Ashtabula, Trumbull, Mahoning, Columbiana, and Carroll County. So we are doing specific outreach programs to raise awareness of the services that are available across the network. And while we've always done it, it's much more intentional now. So we are excited to be a part of that community. We've always done work up there. Our minority business program services Trumbull County and Asheville, and I mean the footprint that I already mentioned, as well as Monroe and Belmont counties. Our additive manufacturing services absolutely does work up there. Our youth program has done more programming up there. This is really a solidification of that role, but much more intentional.
So what I like to, I always ask if you have any words of wisdom for somebody that wants to, kind of emulate or follow you along your career path. But in this case, I have a couple. I want to hear your words of wisdom for two different audiences. One is that career path of how does somebody, get involved in your space, and how, words of wisdom about how they get there. But then also, I think you have a unique perspective, and you can offer some wisdom for people, just entrepreneurs, right? That you have probably talked to thousands of entrepreneurs and startups and people that have ideas, and all different phases of the startup journey. But what are some words of wisdom that you have to anybody that's listening, like, hey, I want to someday, I want to get involved, or I want to be where Barb Ewing is at as a career, but then also just anybody in that startup space, or think they have an idea, or how to get it started. What can you leave them with?
Well, I would say for somebody who wants to get into to this career space, first, it's absolutely critical that you have a strong liberal arts education. It doesn't mean you can't have I regret not having a technology-based business. If I could do my life over again, I would have not technology-based business, a technology-focused major in college. I wish I were an engineer. I wish that as I was sitting in meetings, talking, listening to discussions of the evolution of additive manufacturing or industrial IoT, that I had a strong, sound technology focus behind me. And I think
Yeah.
I managed to make it work, but there is definitely a gap. And if I didn't have such a great team, it would be a bigger gap. Um, but at the same time, I will tell you all day long, don't cheat. Don't cheat yourself by, just skimming along in your liberal arts education. It is really critical, especially in these days of AI, where people are able to skim through without doing the work by relying on AI to do some of the research. But critical thinking skills are undersold in our community, and the ability to evaluate information and to recognize what's real and not real. If anything has served me, besides the one accounting class that I took so that I understood how to read our financial statements, I will put a plug in all day long for one accounting class. Um, the, the 10,000 papers that I wrote, synthesizing information and being able to critically think through the arguments that a particular author was trying to make, has allowed me to perform, I think, in a different way than many other people have who only focus on the technology. So balance. And I'm a Buddhist at heart, so I will say all the middle path always. Some technology, but some history, literature, all of the programs that you think about when you think about a liberal arts education are important to being a well-rounded person. And don't sell yourself short by taking the easy route. Push in every job, push yourself as hard as you can push yourself to be the very best, to be that outstanding employee, that outstanding leader, the one that goes the extra mile. Because I, it's you are the only person that can sell yourself, and that's how you do it, by
Yeah.
being that employee that I know I can rely upon to get the job done, and that I know is, going to make sure that if I send something, something that's critical that arrives at 5:05, that I'm not going to get pushback saying I'm off the clock now. And I do understand that there has to be value between, balance, work-life balance. That was a hard lesson for me to learn personally, and to understand that that's not a buzzword, that's a way of life, and I'm doing better with it, and I would recommend everybody try to do better with it. But there are also just realities that sometimes that bell rings and you've got to answer it.
For
So,
sure. Yeah.
um, so I guess that would be my meandering answer on how to get to where I'm at. Be careful of what you wish for. This might become true. Looking at the lights on at commercial interdeck and hoping you have a job one day that requires you to
Yeah.
work long hours.
I bet.
Yeah,
I bet.
think
Yep.
think better thoughts than that. So,
What about
um,
for entrepreneurs? Any words of advice, or somebody that might be thinking about taking that leap? Right. I think that's the big part that a lot of people can't get over.
so the best advice I will give you is the advice of Jim Kostler, who taught me so much, and that is find a problem to solve that people are actually willing to pay for. And you can have a great idea, but if there's no demand in the market, or you're not solving a problem that people perceive as being worth the investment in doing something different, then you are a solution in search of a problem and will probably not ever have a successful business. And that doesn't just relate um, to technology-based businesses. If every business needs to be clear about the problem that they're solving and who is going to be willing to pay and how much they're going to be willing to pay. And that requires market research and talking to people other than your family and your friends, who, just asking them the question, hey, if I did this, would you sign up? Of course they'll sign up, because you're their cousin, and, you know, you you grew up together and they're, family, and they have to. There's nothing more fundamental to entrepreneurship than understanding the value proposition that you bring and who you bring it to. And if you don't understand it, then nobody else does either. There is just an external reality to, you can have a great idea, but a great idea doesn't necessarily pay the bills. And we're here to help everybody. So if you do have a great idea, bring it to us. Bring it to us before Shark Tank's
Cut off.
before the deadline of next week, because we want great ideas to pitch, and we will help you get your idea from point A to point B. But we will also tell you if we don't think it's a great idea, and if we don't think you're going to get it across the finish line. It is just as much our job to tell somebody when they don't have that great idea, or they don't have the resources to make it happen, so that they're not wasting their resources. But then we'll help you try to pivot and come up with your next great idea, because the great success stories of our time are not one and done. It's that perseverance of being willing to go back to the drawing board more than once. And if I were to instill anything in anybody, I would say that, don't be defeated by a failure. Be emboldened by it, and know that you've learned valuable lessons, and that you will be able to take it to success in your next iteration of an idea.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Barb Ewing helping people find their own success stories, right? That's I think that's yours.
Well, I think that's our team. That's not
Yeah.
me.
Well, I appreciate you being on today. Thank you so much for taking
Thank
time out of your
you. It was
busy schedule
great.
to being
You were
on here.
right. It was like talking to a friend.
It's
So
real
without
easy. It's
beer,
really,
but again, without beer.
yeah, yeah. Next time, next time. All right, everybody.
All right.
Real quick, Barb, where can people kind of find out more about you and the YBI and what you guys are
Oh,
up to?
www.ybi.org. And just a reminder, org, not com, because we are a nonprofit. So get a lot of assumptions that we're .com because we're business associated, but we're not. We are a nonprofit.
Gotcha. All right. And a great follow, the team over at YBI, a great follow on LinkedIn as well. Always posting articles and what they're up to. So
Yeah.
check out Barb over there as well and find some of the team members because you guys are wide with the team and they are all posting success stories all the time.
This is our mission for the year, as directed by our board, is to have the community stop saying, "I had no idea that they did that." We don't want to be the best kept secret. So it's an all hands on deck level of activity through LinkedIn, Facebook, great videos on YouTube and Instagram. Our Shark Tank videos are second to none, I will say. This is, I believe, our best year for Shark Tank videos, and
Uh-oh.
just so entertaining, just fun. I mean, if you don't do anything else, go watch the Shark Tank videos just to get a good laugh.
Yeah.
So,
All
and
right.
Steve, thank you for all the work that you've done to help make us successful. Your friendship and support for YBI just makes all the difference. So thank
Uh,
you very much.
Of course, of course. I love helping out a great cause and people that are doing great things. It just makes me feel better to being a small part of trying to help, for sure. But
Thank you.
thanks again. Everybody, stick around for more great content, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks, Barb.
Thank you.